This is Gerardo Del Real with the Outsider Club. Joining me today is the chairman and CEO of Mawson Resources, Mr. Michael Hudson. Mike, how are you this morning?
Top of the world again, Gerardo. How are you?
I'm enjoying. I'm well. Thank you for asking. I'm enjoying these weekly drops of good news from Mawson. The latest is Mawson tripling its land holding at Sunday Creek and outlining the exploration plans for what looks to me potentially a company making land package in Australia, of course, the hottest land in the world, right? Can you provide some context, Mike? I know that the focus and the flagship is, of course, Finland, and we're expecting assays there any day, but this is pretty exciting and the market has noticed.
Yeah, so absolutely. Finland is the flagship at the moment. We're drilling out there. Only a few week or two ago, we put out 17 meters at 17 grams gold, I should say, and it's working very nicely there. But so while we succeed in building out to a resource upgrade in Finland, we secured these projects only in late March in Australia, in the Victorian goldfields, where the geological opportunity has been rewritten. So I've talked about this a little bit, and I know we haven't got too long, but basically, Victoria is one of the world's premier gold areas. 80 million ounces has come out since the 1850s. We're in only the third boom in the state since then, and it's only been Fosterville that's rewritten that geological opportunity when they started to hit the humongously massive. There you go. That's a good one for your translators. Grades that came out of the Swan Zone, and that's really only 3 years old, and this style of mineralization really hasn't been looked for. So it's provided an insight into a never explored search space beneath shallow historic mines that are this style, that are this Fosterville style that geologists, as I'm one, call epizonal deposits. So a whole new opportunity has opened up, and we've got some of the hottest ground in the state, including Sunday Creek, which used to be known as Clonbinane, but was a bit hard to pronounce. So for many, so we've rebadged it Sunday Creek, which is the original name of the goldfield from the 1850s, being one of these very solid projects.
Sunday Creek has seen prior drilling, however, relatively shallow drilling, but also relatively successful. I mean, 21 meters at 4.8 grams per ton gold from 9 meters, including 2 meters at 28.8 grams per ton gold. Another intercept was 8 meters of 11.3 grams per ton gold. And then trenching also has revealed what I understand to be low grade halos to higher grade mineralization as you outline in the release, but one surface trench returned to 166 meters at zero point 0.9 grams per ton gold. Can you provide some context as to the land package at Sunday Creek and the potential there, and then what you plan to do, frankly, to see what's there at depth, right?
Exactly. So we've got the press release that we've just put out today actually announced tripling of the land holding at Sunday Creek. So we've secured our backyard and now have something just over 19,000 hectares, which is actually more ground than we hold under application or granting on our Finnish project. So this is quite a large area in isolation, and this is only one of 3 projects we've got in Australia. But Sunday Creek was one of the more significant producers back in the 1850s. There's a mine there. We put a great photo in this press release at the key mine in the area called the Golden Dyke, which is just a lovely name. And that all these were super high grade deposits in the day. I mean, 8 kilometers away from Golden Dyke, there was a little mine that only produced a few thousand ounces, but they had a ton or two that came out of 203 grams per ton. So that was just standard grade in the 1850s, more or less, but it's super high grades. And so we know these deposits that we have here, these projects can form very high grades, and Sunday Creek is developed over 11 kilometres. There's multiple mines, all this epizonal style, which is very unique and different to a lot of the gold that has come out of Victoria. It was looked at for potential in the oxide zone, so down to 50, 60, 70 meters. And this is where 90% of the drilling has focused. And it's found some very high grades in those zones. And just below there, the drilling is only over 800 meters in that 11 kilometers. So it's really ripe for the picking in terms of doing a little bit more work, a bit more rigorous work to look in that search space, as we call it, below these high-grade drill holes and below these high-grade historic mines over a very significant distance. I said it's open over 11 kilometres, but there's multiple trends also. So it's an exciting project, and really walk up drill targets after we've done a bit of geophysics and structural geology and mapping to get there, which we plan to in the coming months.
Diamond drilling during Q3 and Q4, is that the target?
Correct.
An idea of how much drilling will be done, or will that depend on the geophysics and the work that you'll be doing between now and then?
Well, we've slated 5 kilometres, 5,000 metres of diamond drilling. It certainly warrants that much, and we'll refine that number and where we'll place those meters and how many will be beneath the existing drilling and then stepping out beyond that, and that will be refined by running geophysics and getting more understanding as we work this up with a little more data collection before we target the drill holes.
Now, you've tripled your land holding at Sunday Creek. For those new to Mawson and the story that's emerging out in Australia, can you provide some context as to the entire land package? Because it's a dominant position. I know the news release has got, a great map there showing just how dominant it is, but can you provide some scale for us?
Yeah, so we have one project we own outright, which is Sunday Creek, and that's well enunciated in this press release. Then we have 2 other projects that we're joint venturing into, where we can earn 70% over the next 5 years by spending $1 million on each of those, $1 million Australian. One of them, Redcastle, is immediately along strike from Costerfield's, the Costerfield mine, which is Mandalay's operating mine, which is another one of these epizonal deposits. One of 3 major historic fields: Redcastle, Costerfield, and Fosterville, within a 20 by 20 kilometre area. And we've got the one old field that just hasn't been looked at depth, like Fosterville and Costerfield are now being mined. And then we have another area called Doctor's Gully, which is just north of Redcastle in a similar aspect, I suppose, of old timers and some high grade hits in the 80s from drilling and nothing more. But the other exciting part of this portfolio is that we have the first right of refusal on what is the largest contiguous tenure holding in the state. We had a comprehensive deal with Nagambie Mining, which is an ASX listed company, Nagambie Resources, I should say, and they've provide us with first right of refusal over 3,600 square kilometres, which is their land position. And you can see that map on figure 1 on the press release, and it's huge. It's basically 100 kilometres by 100 kilometres. So not only do we have some very advanced in a way projects that have been drilled and looked at only in the surface, and that new search space of high grade going to depth is opened up in those 3 projects that we have we own or joint venturing into, but we have the first right of refusal on a huge land package. So it's really got lots of ingredients.
Excellent. Exciting. When can we expect assays from Finland? I know I'm excited about that as well. Anytime that you drill how you've been drilling and hit with the rate that you've been hitting at, got to ask you, when do you think we'll hear on pending assays?
So we drilled 37 holes for just over 14 kilometres in Finland. We've announced 24 of those holes, so we have 13 holes remaining. I stand corrected. We've got something like 11 holes, I think. No, sorry.
13.
Apologies again. 13.
You had it right the first time.
My maths is terrible. Sorry, but you've got me early on here in Australia. So 13 holes left. So we've got a month, the next month or 6 weeks of 2 to 3 more releases on results from Finland. So imminent would be the next release, I could say.
Imminent sounds good. We'll chat imminently, Mr. Hudson. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gerardo.